Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining, or might be morning for some of you still. Thank you for joining. We'll let people trickle in for a few minutes and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. I think we'll give it maybe another minute and then we'll get going. All righty. Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name is Punita Bhatt, and I'm a Juniper Networks Partner Account Manager working directly with CDW. And I'm your moderator today. So, on behalf of Juniper Networks and CDW, we want to thank you for joining our discussion today. Today, we're chatting with you about why you need to refresh your network and update your technology, and how Juniper and CDW can help make this process seamless, scalable, and cost-effective with little to no downtime. I'm honored to introduce Sudheer Matta, Juniper's Senior VP of Products, and then we'll hear from Jason Palkovics, a Senior Specialist from CDW's Small Business Integrated Technology Solutions team. Please make sure to answer any poll questions that I'm putting out there for some participation. As a thank you for this, for joining us today, make sure to stay till the end of the presentation. We want to make sure you know exactly how to get your free Juniper CDW co-branded Stanley Quencher Cup. If you have any questions, also please feel free to enter them into the chat and we'll help field those questions. So now to kick things off, here's Sudheer.
Awesome. All right. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining. My name is Sudheer Matta. I run products here at Juniper's enterprise business. That's wired, wireless, SD-WAN, NAC. Thank you so very much for your time. I know there's a ton of webinars out there, but we really appreciate you making time for Juniper and CDW. What I'm going to walk you through is how do we build your network for the next decade in a completely different way than you have done in the last iteration in the last 5 years, 10 years, right? So a little bit of intro for ourselves. We all basically used to run the largest business in the industry, Cisco's enterprise business. And then we came off and we actually are the guys that acquired Meraki into Cisco. All of Meraki used to report into Sujay, the CEO of Mist. So we're talking about a company, Mist. If you have not heard of Mist, then you're in for a surprise. You're in for a treat today. But basically, Juniper acquired Mist in 2019, and that's where sort of the story started. Is this next generation wired, wireless, absolute game-changing network technology, and what are we focused on? What did we start about? Why did we even start this company, Mist? And the answer is we wanted to understand user experience, right? How do we actually deliver better user experience? I can imagine many of you that have that support Teams and Zoom calls today. Someone somewhere is complaining, oh, my Teams call, I was on a call with five other people, and suddenly, my call, the video was stuttering, the voice was breaking up, something happened. How do you get to the bottom of that today on your existing network? Very, very hard. You end up being the integrator for the technologies. And what I want to show you today is you don't have to do the heavy lift. Your network for the next decade should be able to do the heavy lift for you. And that's what we're here to talk about, right? So how does AI put things together for you, right? In the wired wireless space, there's only one magic quadrant that matters, which is the Gartner Magic Quadrant for enterprise wired and wireless. Juniper sits right on top of that. But if you are a large enough, network, and if you want to actually deliver location-based services, Juniper is the only networking vendor who's a leader in that space. Literally, Cisco is sort of a niche player in there, and nobody else even exists on that, right? So if you're thinking of your network of the next decade, you're in the right place. This is the place to be. Now, in terms of what I want you to count on when you deploy a Juniper Mist network with CDW, what are three things that you can absolutely count on that that will deliver value for you? Number one, I promise you, we've seen this in every single customer deployment, and this is a take it to the bank kind of promise. It'll be the fastest rollout you've ever done from a wired, wireless, SD-WAN, NAC deployment perspective. It'll be the fewest user complaints you've ever gotten on your network ever. Right, and so that's a big bold statement, and I'm going to prove to you in the demo how we get there, and then. Of course, this is the most digitized platform in terms of APIs and automation, location-based services, and all this kind of stuff, right? That's my bold, big, statements that you can expect. Well, that's great, but who are the companies that actually do business with Juniper that have actually gone down this path? If you use ServiceNow, for example, in your enterprise, they've gone down this path with us with wired, wireless, SD-WAN, NAC, the whole nine yards, right? If you actually think of the Gap retail stores, we displaced 24,000 Meraki APs, across the entire world with exactly the same number of APs with Mist, and they see a 85% fewer truck rolls to stores, right? And again, I'm saying many of you may not be as big as some of these enterprises. I want you to know the same technology that we've deployed at the largest of the large enterprises in the world can make a difference for your business in terms of making it, fewer complaints and, easy to operate and completely automated, right? That's what this is about. And then, the outcomes that we talked about, right? Average time to close a double ticket. We want that to be really, really down. Meaning, in this particular global logistics company, the mean time to close a ticket before Juniper Mist, 48 hours. After Juniper Mist, 4 hours. A 96% drop in the amount of time it takes to close a ticket. That's a 55,000 access point deployment in 130 countries. If at that scale we can bring down the mean time to resolve a ticket, we could do that for you, right? So, again, these are the outcomes we can drive for you. So what is it we're talking about? We're talking about Wi-Fi, we're talking about switching, we're talking about SD-WAN, we're talking about NAC, and we're talking about data center, right? So this is the portfolio that I'm going to walk you through, and basically underpinned by a Marvis conversational assistant, like you see a chatbot here that you can talk to your network. I'm going to show you the demo of that. So with that, let me jump into the demo and take you through sort of how does this all come together, right? So when you deploy a Juniper Mist network, what can you expect? What should you actually see? How should you actually consider this transition from your existing vendor to Juniper Mist, and how do you actually get the outcomes that I just proclaimed that every single one of our customers gets, at scale, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through the entire dashboard, and really, I'm going to give you a walkabout of the Wi-Fi switching and SD-WAN kind of network in a short, 15-minute demo, right? So Punita and Jason, you can confirm that you see my demo now? Yep.
We
Okay.
got
Very
you.
good.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Thank you.
excellent. Very good. So basically, what it is when we started the company, we were sitting in the customer network operations centers, and essentially we were, listening to calls and trying to understand, what are the top 10 calls that you receive on Wi-Fi on the wireless network, right? And so we started with Wi-Fi. I'm going to take you through the whole journey, but hang with me on this thing, right? So we said, okay, what are the top 10 kind of calls that you get on Wi-Fi? And one particular engineer in South Africa, he said, Sudhir, if you're starting a brand new company and you want to solve Wi-Fi problems, here are the only two problems I have for you to solve. Problem number one, he said, is, hey, people call in and say, I can't connect to the network. We've all been there. Why can't I connect to the network? And the only other problem, he said, in the wireless networking industry is if I can't connect, but if I'm connected, then the second only other problem, he says, people call in and say, hey, the Wi-Fi sucks. And that's all they know. They couldn't care less what a MAC address is. They don't understand what a DHCP service or a server is. But all their experience is saying, hey, either I'm not able to connect or my experience is not good. So this is where we started. We said, what if you can have a network that can measure user experience, every user, every minute? That was the mantra. That was the founding philosophy of this company. And we said, okay, so if let's say you have 100 users on your network today, or maybe 1,000, or maybe 10,000, or maybe like our largest customer, 4 million devices connected to their network right now on their global network of 400,000 access points, right? If I take one of those 4 million devices and said, hey, what's the experience of this one device in the last 60 seconds? We have the answer. I can tell you if the device was in good coverage or bad coverage, good capacity, bad capacity, good performance or bad performance. Every user, every minute means having experience at your fingertips. At 71%, users are able to connect happy and healthy. But what's that 29% of failure, right? And we said, okay, without a single click, right? I want you to know, is it radius? Is it DHCP? Is it ARP? Is it DNS? What is that 29% of failure? And then when exactly did problems start? Whom did problems impact? What type of device types and device OSs are impacted? And Cisco, Aruba, Meraki, or have Ruckus, Cirrus can tell you if somebody was failing 100% of the time. What if someone was failing 1% of the time? What if this iPhone is only failing 1% of the time, but that iPhone belongs to your CEO or belongs to your CFO? How do you get to solving that problem? So we said, okay, for us to be able to solve the problem, I want to know where are bad experiences happening. And if I have a fast roam failure or a radius failure, I want to know I have a packet capture waiting for me in the cloud. So never ever, if somebody calls in on your Wi-Fi network saying, hey, my Wi-Fi sucks, and then you have to say, okay, yeah, let me come to that, the biology department. Let me come to the second floor in the corner office, and let me see if I can actually figure out if my device is connecting, my device is having an issue. Let me reproduce the problem. That's old school. Don't do that. Please don't do that to yourself. When you get to the network of the next decade, you need the network to provide the data on a platter for you. And what we're saying here is, we have, for every single failure that's a catastrophic failure, we have a packet capture waiting for you in the cloud. But you may say, wait, Sudhir, I don't have the people to read packet captures. What are you talking about? And so this is where AI comes in. And then AI says, aha, you don't need to read packet captures. I will tell you, hey, if you have a bad cable in the ceiling, if you have your radius service is out for lunch and not serving clients, you want to know exactly when it happened, whom it's impacting, and what it's impacting. That data exists. If your DHCP service is having a similar issue and you want to understand, what caused it, where it caused, all this kind of stuff, the data exists. So this is your cup of coffee view in the morning, right? For all of you that run networks that are small and large and somewhere in the middle, every day, wouldn't it be amazing if you came to the office and the network spoke to you and said, hey, you have these three issues that are causing some user complaints that you need to go address before the users open tickets. And then wouldn't it be awesome if actually before users open tickets, you could say, hey, show me who's having a bad Wi-Fi day today, right? Literally, users haven't even called you and you are able to ask the question of the network to say, who's having a bad Wi-Fi day? And then saying, aha, these are the users having a bad Wi-Fi day. Let me find out what's going on with this individual device. What could I do to help that user have a better experience? Aha, this user is having a sticky client behavior. I want to know when it started. I want to know all the details about that user. I want to know if that's impacting every other user or just this user. All of this kind of data at your fingertips. This is the network of the next decade. This is what a modern network looks like. We took all of this and we said, this is great. I'm able to tell you when users are having problems. I'm able to tell you when if a user is having problem, what type of problem. We're getting you all the answers, along the way. But wouldn't it be awesome if I didn't even have my users have to experience failure? What if I could be 100% proactive, meaning not, know before your user calls, but what if a digital twin of the user can experience the failure before the user experiences the failure, alerts you, and you can fix the problem at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. before 7 a.m. users come on the network, right? That's this next piece. And we call this Marvis Minis. What Marvis Minis is basically an AI native digital twin that resides on your network. No extra sensors like Cisco and others ask you to do. No Thousand Eyes, Raspberry Pis, that kind of stuff. None of that stuff, right? Basically, your true network is a platform for digital experience twinning, and say, okay, no additional hardware and software, and it's always on. Wouldn't it be amazing if the digital twin wakes up and actually tells you, what problems you're having on the network? So let me show you what that looks like. And I'm going to use Juniper's global network. This is Juniper's global headquarters, Sunnyvale. And so I want to show you what this looks like. And so at my Sunnyvale headquarters, let's say, I have all of these VLANs that are used for wireless. I want to know. Every hour I wake up and say, are all my VLANs, is DHCP okay on all of them? Is ARP okay on all of them? Is DNS okay on all of them? And all my applications, are they reachable on all of these access points all the time, right? And so wouldn't it be amazing for you, hand on heart, you can say, yep, all my applications are reachable, all my services are green, I'm good, right? You bring on the users, we're great, right? This is the power of Marvis Minis. And oh, by the way, when you do have a failure and something actually does fail, I want to know exactly where it failed. And more importantly, I want to have a packet capture waiting for me. I was not able to reach Teams on that VLAN, in this particular run. I want to know what's going on. Give me the packet capture, and voila, we have the packet capture waiting for you in the cloud, right? And so this is sort of the power of having a digital twin running always on the network and validating the network constantly for your use cases, right? By the way, I hear myself talk all the time, so this is not about me, it's about you. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat window. We have folks from CDW, we have folks from Juniper. We are here to educate you on really don't get stuck with legacy networks, right? Don't get stuck. Don't make the decision that, oh yeah, I know this, Cisco, Aruba, Meraki, Aerohive, Ruckus, Xerox. Okay, I'm just going to stick with what I know. No, 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 sir. No, ma'am. You got to look at what the next generation can actually do for you, right? Now, so far I've talked about wireless. Now I want to, steer the conversation to switching, right? I said there are only two problems on wireless we tried to solve, right? One is, are users able to connect? And if users are able to connect, are they having a good experience? We said, why doesn't that apply for switching? Okay, let's do it. So here on the switching side, we're saying, are your devices able to connect? Somebody said, do I really need AI for switching? There are no users connecting to Ethernet ports. I mean, our laptops don't even have an Ethernet port anymore. And then, one of the lead engineers at a Fortune 10 company told me, Sudhir, no, 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 no. In fact, I need AI for switching more than I need it for wireless for this following reason. If a printer, if a scanner, if a thermostat, if a camera, if any wired device does not, the application stops working on those devices, they don't open a ticket. They just sit there failing until a user goes in and says, oh my God, what happened to my video feed? And then you realize, oh, holy cow, the video feed has not been coming for the last 7 days. What's going on, right? So he said, I need AI for these non-human devices. Headless devices need AI. And so let me tell you what AI looks like from a switching perspective. I said, are devices able to connect? And if they're connected, are they getting good performance? Yeah, you could see this at your entire, you may have 2 sites, 5 sites, 50 sites, or 1,000 sites. We give this visibility. Our largest customer has 90,000 switches deployed with us on this framework, right? And we do have a lot of SMB customers, commercial, select commercial enterprise kind of customers, and they use this for one site or 10 sites or how many ever you have, right? Then you say, okay, now take me to Marvis, right? What can Marvis do? And so what Marvis does from a switching perspective is if you have a missing VLAN, we will tell you, I see wireless users trying to use this VLAN, and I don't see that VLAN actually configured on the switch port, right? Or if you have a loop on your network, if you have a network port flapping right now, if you have a port stuck, imagine you have a video camera on an Ethernet port. It's happily working, everybody's okay, nobody touched any config, and suddenly the video stops flowing, right? Obviously, it never happens for you, but it does happen in the real world, right? And so without the port going down, the application stopped. Who's watching every port all the time for every Ethernet switch out there? We do. And so when we watch and we say, aha, there is supposed to be traffic on this Ethernet port. I wonder why I don't see it. And so we auto remediate, literally auto port flap that device and see if the video camera comes back up, right? That's the kind of stuff that AI can do for you. Self-driving on the switching network, it's probably unheard of, but super useful. And then again, when you say troubleshoot, site, pick a site, literally AI can put the picture together for you and say, what's happening with wireless, what's happening with switching, what's happening with WAN. So speaking of WAN, we answered the same two questions today on the wireless side. Why can't I connect? Why is my experience not good if I'm connected? On the switching side, why can't I connect? Why is my experience is not good? On the WAN side, same two questions. Is my WAN link happy and healthy? If my WAN link is happy and healthy, that's my connection. Why is my application not doing well? That's my experience, right? And so same two questions, is my WAN link happy and healthy? If my WAN link is happy and healthy, why are my applications actually showing me, and which applications are showing me concerns, right? And so literally, being able to say troubleshoot, Teams calls at site live demo, literally being able to actually understand who's having a bad Teams call and saying what's going on with those individual users, and saying, okay, tell me exactly everything you know about, Rob Young's, device here. Is it a Wi-Fi issue on the Teams call? Is it a switching issue? Is it a WAN issue? All of that built in. And then I'll take it one step further. I want to know at a global Juniper level, I want to know the Teams and Zoom experience, right? Completely, right? And so here we are saying, okay, in the last 7 days, we've had, 78,000 Teams minutes. And a Teams minute is if we have 5 of us on this call and each one of us has a different experience of Teams, we count that as 5 minutes for every one physical minute. So every user, every minute on every Teams call, we measure if that was a good minute or a bad minute. And then we say, okay, with this context, tell me what's contributing to my bad Teams calls. Aha, people on VPN are actually getting bad Teams calls. Okay, tell me which APs are serving these worst Teams calls. Who are these users that are having bad Teams calls, right? All this kind of stuff, connecting, Teams data, and saying, okay, this Teams call was not good. I want to understand. Tell me exactly why that individual Teams call was bad. We've connected the Microsoft Teams data into the network data, first time in the industry. So going back into the whole premise of Juniper Mist, being able to say, it is about experience. So what we did is we started where Meraki stopped, right? Meraki brought into the industry easy to deploy, easy to configure. We got that in spades, cloud-based system. But when it comes to easy to operate, and that's where we've come to play and said operations is about getting to mean time to innocence, understanding user experience, and making it actionable for IT to be able to get to what action do I take to make this work, right? So hopefully I've given you a flavor of what the network looks like. And what I want you to do now is, if your head is spinning saying, wow, Sudhir, slow down, take a breath. How do we actually use this? How do we make this real in our own network? And that's where CDW comes into play, right? We've done some of the largest networks in the world with CDW. CDW is our largest partner for a lot of the E-rate K-12 kind of deployments as well. And so Jason is going to walk you through how CDW can make this real for your own network. So with that, Jason, over to you.
Thank you, Sudhir. That was a wonderful introduction there, and an amazing tour through just some of the things that Juniper and Mist have to offer to customers who are looking to implement this in their environment. My name is Jason Palkovics, and I am a senior hybrid infrastructure specialist covering enterprise networking for CDW's Integrated Technology Solutions Small Business Organization. And if that seems like a mouthful, you should see how expensive it is to get put on a business card. Either way, I'm here today to talk about CDW's proven strategy for delivering the highest quality solutions for our customers. And we heard Sudhir talk about partnership, and it really starts with a partnership. And whether you're just starting your Juniper journey, expanding on an existing Juniper infrastructure, or looking to dive into that revolutionary AI native networking platform that Juniper has to offer, our team is ready to work alongside you to really make sense of that chaos and realize that those IT business goals that you have are in reach and available to you and walk with you every step of the way to get there. And that starts with our 3-service method of approach, okay? It starts with our advisory services. And that's my team, okay? Our integrated technology solutions small business team. And we have over 40 technical experts on this team dedicated to architecture and design. These are complementary resources. Some of you may have worked with them before, who work really alongside our customers to understand the unique needs of your business. What is driving you? What are the challenges that you're facing today? What are the outcomes you're looking to achieve? And what kinds of technology solutions exist in the world to meet those goals that you're trying to accomplish the best way possible, and what is the right roadmap for implementing them, right? It's not just about, hey, we've got something we're trying to achieve, let's throw everything at it. What's the right order to do that? How do you take an approach that guarantees success, the outcomes you're trying to achieve? And that really starts with our planning and design. That's where our solutions advisors come in and work with you to understand, what is your existing infrastructure? What is that stage approach to achieving that future state? And what does that technology roadmap look like? And Sudheer kind of talked about Wi-Fi and within the Juniper ecosystem, and Wi-Fi 7 is a huge hot topic today. So one of the things that absolutely want to discuss is what CDW can do around Wi-Fi 7 and wireless in general. And really that conversation starts with planning and design around our site survey offerings. And we offer two different kinds of site surveys that are really designed for customers of all sizes, environments of all types, and whatever your situation might be. Whether those are predictive surveys, which involve remote engineers using industry-leading software to predictively heat map your environment. Take a look at, what does that environment look like? Where are walls? Where are people? Where are the gathering spaces? The places that need to be covered? The places that maybe you don't need to be covered? And designing, hey, what needs to go where? What's that coverage going to be look like? And for the most part, in our small to mid-sized environments, small warehouses, small offices, these are perfect engagements that are very accurate. And then, of course, for more complex, larger environments, larger warehouses, big facilities, outdoor spaces, we have full-scale on-site surveys. And I saw a question pop through the chat about whether or not these are badge services. These are CDW badged resources. We do predictive surveys both using CDW badged resources and sometimes some of our partner provided resources such as Juniper. We will work with Juniper's team to deliver predictive surveys for customers who need them, so we can kind of get the best resource for the job involved in that. Or we do have our own internal resources we can do that with if we're taking a more neutral approach to things. And we do have our own on-site engineers that we put out into the field to conduct on-site site surveys for environments where we do those kinds of engagements. I just wanted to respond because I saw that fly through. I know we have Q&A later, but I saw the question, so I felt compelled to ask it. One of the questions that I get a lot when I talk about our predictive site surveys is what do they do? What are they really? It's kind of a new option that a lot of people don't have a great deal of experience with. So if you are unfamiliar with what a predictive site survey is, unlike a traditional on-site survey where you have an engineer visiting the environment physically, walking around, Wi-Fi on a stick, measuring the environment physically in place, a predictive survey takes advantage of building drawings, right? Architectural, schematics, whatever drawings you have available of your environment, and allows a wireless engineer to kind of assess that environment and plot out the expected performance of a wireless solution within that environment, including that optimal placement and quantities of access points. And these site surveys that are predictive are incredibly accurate when you're dealing with those smaller, less complex office environments. Small offices, warehouses, and the real benefit there is they can be delivered in a fraction of the time and cost of sending an engineer and putting them on site, which makes them an excellent option if you're trying to scope out a smaller environment or you're working with a fixed budget. So that is definitely something to keep in mind when you're thinking, okay, what is the right approach to doing that design and architecture planning that we talked about earlier? It's not just a one-size-fits-all for everybody. It's what works best for our customers. And following, that design phase of things, we move into CDW's professional services, our second step here. And once we've identified that right solution, CDW uses our engineers, badged engineers, to help deliver those business outcomes and an array of service offerings that range from deployment and configuration all the way to on-site knowledge transfer, making sure that your team is ready to go, ground running, day one of that new solution being in place. Furthermore, if you are dealing with different timelines or it's more conducive to business to get these things put in place, CDW does have a vast network of both local and national level certified service providers. So there is always a delivery resource available to when you need one. So while we do work with our own badge services for many engagements, we also have availability to third-party resources as well that have been vetted by CDW Services Organization. We don't just work with anyone. We often have our own project managers involved in coordinating services, even when it is a third-party service provider delivering those. And finally, if you're looking to kind of take that step back from day-to-day management of your infrastructure, CDW offers an in-depth managed services portfolio for your entire ecosystem, providing everything from device and connection monitoring, configuration and upgrade support, proactive hardware management, including things like failure detection and RMA assistance, automated reporting, and probably my favorite in the networking space, first contact telco incident response. So for connected gateway appliances, if you have an ISP outage, our technical resources will actually provide prompt service outages to you. So even if this happens in the middle of the night, contact and work with your telco provider so you're not sitting on the phone, with an ISP for hours going, okay, it got to get it up and running, right? We're doing that for you to monitor and that restoration of service. And finally, notify when everything's up and running again, so that you're not taking those hours out of your day, which are likely need to be used elsewhere in the event of an outage like that. Our people sit in place and have that to be able to be there for you. And our managed service offering, while we're here talking about Juniper, isn't just limited to Juniper. CDW has 9 command centers and 2 full security operations centers worldwide. We have access to 1,000+ managed service coworkers who provide 24/7 global support 365 days a year. That is not only shift workers, but a follow the sun support methodology. So while some organizations out there may have a call center in India, for example, CDW has an office there with CDW badged coworkers capable of covering that part of the globe and that part of the day. Really taking that a step further to make sure that you are getting that white glove treatment when it comes to being a part of CDW's managed service organization and working with them. And really, that's the bulk of what I wanted to talk with all of you about today. So moving forward, all you need to do if you want to learn more about CDW's offerings, or if you want to schedule a more in-depth personalized demo on Juniper's platform where you can kind of twist the knobs and ask the specific questions about what's going to be most valuable to your organization, all you have to do is reach out to your CDW account manager, your CDW account team, and ask to get connected, and we're here to help you. And with that, as promised, we have some time here for Q&A. So if you have any questions, I know there's been a couple already, and we'll get to those in a moment. Feel free to throw them into the chat, and we'll do our best to get them answered for you. We do have a few that have been submitted, so we'll go at those right now. And Sudheer, if you're ready, I do have. I wanted to start with the first one that we had submitted here. In your words, like your experience, what is the full setup time frame for somebody who wants to deploy Mist AI into their environment?
So I'll give you the extreme example. Dartmouth College deployed 1,800 APs in 48 hours. I'm not saying you can do that, but what I'm saying is, basically, it's really when we talk about fast deployment, what we mean is it's actually a very light touch deployment. Obviously, you have to deploy APs in the ceiling, but it doesn't require a lot of a lot of people sitting in NOCs and looking at dashboards and stuff like that. And so at scale really cuts down the deployment speed. I would say that there isn't a set time per se of deployment, but it's an interesting question because I see where that comes from. Our experience is, if let's say it took you a week to deploy your previous network, this should take you half of that, more than 50%, 60% time cut from your previous deployment time to get the network up and running.
That's such a great answer. Another question that had come through earlier, and I'm going to take a crack at this one first, but I want to give you a shot at it as well, Sudheer. But how does Ubiquiti stack up to Juniper? We get this question all the time, and as part of our ITS organization when we're having conversations with customers. Ubiquiti absolutely stands as a kind of the primary. I guess I would put it out there as a low cost option for enterprise networking. How does it stack up? I would tell you, whenever you're looking at enterprise networking, you can assume that what we're seeing from Ubiquiti is usually a generation or two behind what we're seeing from the rest of the industry. They stand on a platform of, what's the most cost effective for us to get our hands on and sell to our customers. And while there's nothing wrong with that, proven technology is proven technology. It's definitely not going to be something that's going to kind of take that step forward into moving your business into the future and what you want to be able to do. It can be a stopgap measure for situations where we want to be. The largest issue that we often see our customers encountering with using Ubiquiti, and the reason why it's difficult for us to recommend in a lot of situations, is when it comes to support. Ubiquiti relies very heavily on a community-based support model. And while that has been successful for platforms like Linux, it does come down to a point of, our network is the foundation of our business. It's the thing upon which the rest of everything we do as an organization is built. And if I'm going to be talking to one of my customers about, hey, what is the best decision I can make for my business, telling them to purchase or deploy something where their best path to resolution in the case of a critical failure is ask around, that's really not the best position we can put our customers in. The technology's fine. I have no problem with it. I would never tell you that it's inferior or what's available out there in the rest of the market. But when it comes to what we envision as enterprise class support for our business and for our customers to provide the best environment they can have so their business has the best chance at success, that does become a fairly difficult recommendation for us. And Juniper as a company does not suffer from that. Juniper has a full-scale suite of support and engineering professionals who are capable of helping you through whatever ins and outs of integrating into designing, building, and deploying your network is going to be required of that solution. And that's my take on it. But Sudheer, I wanted to give you a chance to take a crack at that.
No, it's great. Thank you, actually, Jason. That was well said. The simple analogy is, you could sit in your living room and play movies from a DVD player or play them from Netflix. So to play movies from a DVD player, you have to go to the store, get a DVD, and if it's scratched, you go get a different one, and blah blah blah. The experience is the same. You're watching a movie in your living room. DVD players can still play movies. Netflix just does it slightly more seamlessly and easily, and understands your preferences and fine tunes it. Juniper is an AI-driven self-driving network. Period, full stop. That's the mission. That's why literally the world's largest networks in every single vertical, the largest retailers, the largest healthcare providers, the largest financial institutions, the largest enterprises have moved away from Cisco, Meraki, Aruba, Aerohive, Ruckus, Cirrus, and Ubiquiti to us. But it's apples and elephants. Both are networks, and if you're good with community-driven support, then Ubiquiti could be okay for you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Had another question coming through chat here for you, Sudheer. How does the Juniper product offer reporting, specifically reporting around performance metrics and trend analysis?
Yeah, very much so. And if it's okay, I'm going to quickly steal share here and
Go
show
right ahead.
you. And so basically, think of this as, hey, if I want to know, I mean, all kinds of reporting available, but I want to know, an executive summary on my wireless network, right? I want to understand, across 13 months, let's say, I want to see last year in November or last year in April what happened to this year in April what happened, right? Across my entire organization, I want to know where are all my users, what are their, when do users come on the network, what is the service level? This was the thing that I was showing you, which is these service level expectations from us. How are these service level expectations trending over time, over an entire year? Understanding that, right? Which are your sites that are having the most number of users? What are they using, right? This is one kind of report. There's all kinds of reports. How much power are my switches consuming, right? Yeah, we have that in spades, right? And being able to see that across your entire organization. How many users are in a given area of my building, to see from a building occupancy perspective, how many visitors are passing by a particular location, where are users coming in, where are they spending time, and what are their zones, and what are the traffic patterns of paths they're following. Oodles and oodles of it, right? So short answer is yes, and we have lots of it over and over an year's worth of data.
That's cool. I have one more question, Sudheer, and this is my team gets asked this all the time when we when we're on the phone with customers who are kind of looking at things. If a customer has an established network today, right? Maybe it's HP Aruba, maybe it's Netgear, maybe it's Cisco, and they're looking to move off that platform to something else. And Juniper might be something that they see as an option for them. What does that transition look like? Is this something where they have to replace everything all at once, or is this something they can take a staged approach to with Juniper? And how does that look like from an impact perspective?
That's a great question. I should have addressed that in my session. So thank you, Jason. So really, the way we build, let's take wireless or switching or SD-WAN or NAC. Let's take wireless to start with. The way we've built the product is you could deploy one missed AP and have the rest of the building be Meraki or say HPE or something else, and users will notice no difference. So literally today at Northeast Georgia Health, the seventh largest sort of hospital system in the state of Georgia, they migrate from Aruba to Mist during the daytime. While surgeries are happening, while patients are being treated in the hospital, they're migrating one access point at a time, because they don't have to do nightly, they don't have to do now downtime, scheduled maintenance, security people at the night, all this kind of stuff goes away. Literally, it is a very seamless. So nothing changes for your users. They don't have to change their laptop password. They don't have to change the Wi-Fi password, Wi-Fi credentials, none of that. Seamlessly, we can set up so that user experience does not get impacted. And that's how we do most of our deployments is, one AP at a time, one floor at a time, one building at a time. And like at UMass Amherst, they would say, hey, it's 5 o'clock, the interns have to go home. So, okay, stop right here. And then literally, it could be half a floor in the middle of the building that is Mist, and the remaining half is Aruba. No problem. They've seen, great outcomes. So seamless migration. Switching is a very similar thing. We can walk through that as well. And then NAC is a super seamless migration as well. So yeah, very bread and butter for us.
That's a great answer. Yeah, So I don't see any more questions coming in right now, Sudheer. So I just want to give you an opportunity if you had any last thoughts you would like to throw out there.
Yeah. So look, we all know you have a choice in the partners you pick and the vendors you pick. And candidly, familiarity is, if you could continue to buy what you're buying, and at least you don't have to learn something new, right? That's the state of affairs everywhere. However, what I'm challenging you is, imagine today somebody said, nah, I don't need no chat GPT. I can do this myself. Who would say that? Don't let AI, don't let yourself build a network without AI. AI can fundamentally change. At UMass Amherst, they accounted for, they had a 99% drop in the number of student complaints coming from a dorm room when they migrated from Aruba to Mist, right? AI can have that kind of impact, a 50%, 90% drop. So the fact that you don't know Juniper Mist, this is why we are here. CDW is here to help white glove that transformation for you. But there's a very little learning curve when you go from your existing network infrastructure to Juniper Mist, and CDW is there to build the bridge for you, right? We're here. Don't fear the AI. Embrace it. It will make your life on a daily basis much simpler. Thank you very much. There's a lot of webinars out there in the world. Thank you very much for you spending time with us on this one. Jason, over to you.
Absolutely, thank you, Sudheer. And I would add my own to that. We hear a lot about AI, and I think one of the things that I hear from customers all the time is, how do I even find a place for AI in my business? Where does it have the most impact? And you've heard the phrase mature AI as a business solution. And I think when we start talking about that, Juniper is the place where that comes to mind for me as being on the forefront of what a mature AI business oriented solution looks like. It is designed for a specific purpose, and it is excellent at delivering on those outcomes that it promises. So if you're looking for a place where I want to get involved with AI, but I want to make sure that it's something that's built for a purpose-driven outcome, this is a place where this is a great entry point in bringing that into your business. So with that, I wanted to say thank you all so much for joining, and I'm going to turn this back over to Punita to close us out.
Wow, thank you, Jason and Sudheer. That was so amazing. Such a fantastic conversation. Yeah, just like they both just thanked you all, I want to thank you as well for joining us. On behalf of Juniper and CDW, we truly appreciate your time and participation. We'd love your feedback, so we will be sending a survey in the post-event email. So definitely help us by filling that out so we can improve these sessions and make sure we continue them in the future. Also, within that email, within that survey, you can provide us your shipping address. We'll make sure to get you that beautiful Stanley Cup. And if you'd like to dive deeper and have more discussion around this, get a personalized demo, please reach out to your CDW account manager. They can get you in touch with the ITS team that Jason's a part of and the Juniper team. So thank you again, and we look forward to connecting with you all soon. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.